youngest started his school career in kindergarten last year wearing a mask. He regressed on his letter sounds and his phonics. He couldn't see his teacher's mouth or the different tongue placements for certain letters. Worst of all, he didn't get to do all the fun kinder things, any of the celebrations, and he just missed his teacher's smile. My daughter never had breathing issues until after the masks, where she now sounds congested all the time. She's missed 20 days of school for 2 separate healthy quarantines, and she was never sick once. My oldest became so hyper-vigilant about mask wearing that it became near impossible for him to take it off. He was always afraid that he or one of us were going to get arrested for him not wearing it. This isn't a way of life for children, and the districts have been wanting more parent involvement. Here we are. Woo! So, to the parents, this district now has 3 less students, and we need more parents and more community members to stand together with us for this fight for everyone to have a choice. Thank you.
Closer? Like this? Can you hear me?
Talk out like.
All right. My name is Tiffany Khalil. Okay. Step forward. Speak loud. Got it. All right. My name is Tiffany Khalil, and I am a mother of a child here in the Washington Elementary School District. So she's been in this district since she was in kindergarten. So the thought of having her world kind of turned upside down is really how I got involved. I was very much like Keelan. I was very upset just from some of the decisions that the board was making with no parent input. And I felt very alone. And I felt like I had no way to kind of laser focus my frustration until I found all of these parents. Woo! So I think, we've been able to do a lot. So even before I came tonight, I asked my daughter, like, I don't even know what to say. I wrote something, but I left it. And she said, I think you should tell people that you guys started small, and now you're big, and you'll get bigger. And you should tell people to make sure that they're sticking up for their kids, and that their voices are being heard. And she told me not to cry. So I haven't cried yet. But I think on a more serious note, when you look at everything that's happening, not just in Arizona, but across the country, I don't know where someone decided that we can't have a choice. This is really what this is all about. I think that what we had in place in our district appeased both sides. I personally made sure I made that clear to the district in my public participation comments. So for that to be taken away, then that gives parents what choice than to do this? Right. And what parents have the time to do this? You know, some that really need to make sure that, hey, my kid is not going to suffer when they are going to a place for 8 hours out of the day. Sometimes the school gets them longer than we do. They shouldn't have to feel this way when they go. Right. So I have made it clear that maybe if I would have been more involved, you know, shame on me for not knowing how my district works and who I'm voting into office. Those things are really important. Right. I'm kicking myself, but what better time than now to get involved? Yeah. So I think that if anything, just to make sure that everybody is well aware of what's going on and, you know, join us, and I know that we'll see everything through. So thank you guys.
Hey everybody. So, man, all these great orators. I'm going to stick to my notes because otherwise I can go down so many rabbit trails. But and it's just been such an emotional time for us as parents dealing with all of this. It's just been exhausting with, you know, dealing with the schools and talking to the school board and having these meetings. But who you elect is so important. I learned for the first time that the school board is God and whatever they say, that's got to be enforced, and that's what goes regardless of what I as a parent think. So definitely get involved. It's so important. Just have something to read real quick. I have 3 kids in WESD and 1 in high school now at Peoria Unified School District. The mask mandate that was implemented in WESD is something that absolutely shakes me to the core. This is not a question of public health, but of constitutional rights. Never before in my lifetime has society been so quick to impose its will on the people. This generation has never experienced a pandemic of this magnitude, and there were a lot of unknowns. But now that we have a better understanding of SARS-CoV-2, and we have treatments and vaccines available to those who choose them, we need to reflect on what is important and start returning to normal. Many of us have lost our livelihoods and loved ones as a result of COVID-19. I personally lost my mother-in-law in July of 2020. And now that we have more information, I wholeheartedly believe that her death could be contributed more to hospital protocols and experimental treatments like remdesivir mixed with fear and loneliness. COVID was only part of the issue. Our exaggerated and fearful response is costing way more than we as a country can bear. As a result of the mask mandates in school, my kids were removed from their classes and placed in full-day detention against the written request of us, the parents. This has got to stop. We cannot continue to be divided by fear. We must come together as a nation. As long as we give in and allow them to keep us in this state of emergency, they will walk all over the rights and freedoms that our founding fathers risked everything for. I feel it is appropriate to quote Ronald Reagan in a speech he shared this same week of October in 1964. Reagan said, "We are at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in doing so, lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest of astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening." Well, I think it's time we asked ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not too long ago, 2 friends of mine, and I'm still talking as Reagan, 2 friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had someplace to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there is no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Reagan went on to say that regardless of people's sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked upon a downward course. These mandates are all about force and coercion. They are trading our freedoms for a false sense of security. The Constitution of this United States, quote, secures the blessings of liberty. Liberty, by definition, is the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views. I have laid before you today the case for freedom. This is not about masks or vaccines. This is about freedom, and dare I say, this is about trusting God. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and sound judgment." If you know the Father and the love He has for you, you would know not to fear anything, not even death. This does not mean that we seek out or run to death, but we do not live our lives limited by the fear of death. God is talking to His people, and we will not live in fear. May God bless and keep America. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Josh. And all the parents who just really, grabbed their courage and stood up. And that's what this takes, you guys, is courage. And I know some other courageous people. We're going to have a little change in the itinerary because the lovely Kelli Ward and Kari Lake do have another event. So we're going to accommodate